season as QB1. Is this the right move for the Vikings?
Yes, and I'm glad that they disseminated to my pal Tom Pelissaro. Yeah, not only are we, not in on Aaron, other people are in on JJ, and we told him, go away. He's our guy.
You think that's fake?
No, no. I'm not arguing that it's fake. What I'm saying, them putting it, I think they put it out there intentionally to maybe build this kid's confidence back up. It's a tough week for him. He gets drafted. He thinks he's going to be the week 1 starter. Suffers an injury that he didn't even know he suffered, and then is out the year, and then sees Darnold's gone. It's like, okay, my job. And then all of a sudden the Aaron Rodgers stuff comes in. So I think it behooves them to make it very clear, not only do we love you, a lot of people love you, we just love you more. I think that's good for a young player who hasn't played. I don't think any of the reporting's fake about Rodgers. I am skeptical of how interested the Vikings ever really were.
Oh.
Do I think they had a meeting? Sure. Do I think they kicked it around? Why not? Do I think that it was ever they were as interested in him as he was desperate to have a chance to play for them? No. I think this was more of a, you're receiving 10 texts for every one you send back type of thing between Aaron and the Vikings. Yeah. And so I think it's the smart move. I think that Sam Darnold at this point is better than Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold, we now know what is about the same price as Aaron Rodgers. And they decided to move on from Sam Darnold. That's because they want to turn the page with J.J. McCarthy. And I also think this, Brew, I think they have an insurance plan in their back pocket if JJ's knee does not recover the way they need it to, which is they can still go get Kirk Cousins whenever they want. And so for all those...
What do you mean by whenever they want?
I mean, Atlanta's just holding on to him, waiting till someone will trade for him. Like, if at any point they were like, gosh darn it, we have to get a veteran quarterback, yeah. Kirk Cousins is there. And so they kind of have your cake and eat it too type of thing. So, yeah, I'm with this for the Vikings.
I do agree with you. I think most of this news that was being reported was probably coming from Rodgers' side.
Yes.
All right, and so that's why, because the only news is, what is the news? We're sticking with our quarterback.
Right.
Like, it's really not news. Sure. They're just cutting it off. Maybe the Vikings are like, this dude's going way out there with this. Like, we had a meeting with you. We thought about bringing you in. Yeah, about you. Like, we thought about bringing you in, and now he's acting like, we really want him as our quarterback. So maybe they just shut it down with this, leaking this to the press so that it's over now.
That makes sense.
But,
dude, these made-up forced narratives that we keep coming up here is just, I don't understand. If the Vikings had no interest, what they said here now is what they would have done like a week ago. They would have done this days ago. They were legitimately contemplating it and trying to figure out, is this the right path forward? And in fact, if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, that should excite you because you have a team that is actually doing, their due diligence. They are doing a deep dive and making sure that they are putting their team in the best possible position to succeed, regardless of the options, whether it's Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, J.J. McCarthy, whatever it is. They're leaving no stone unturned and making sure that they are doing everything that they need to do. And I think, when you're dealing especially with some of these big reporters, it's not leaking it. You're telling them. You're using them as the mouthpiece to share what's being shared. John Minikoff actually talked about that recently, not with regard to this, but in terms of who's available on the trade block. Because someone asked a question in his mailbag or whatever he does, where they were asking questions about how do you know when a player is available to be traded or whatever it may be, and he was pretty much through Schefter essentially, right? So it's not leaking. When we say a leak is where it's kind of whispered and no one's supposed to really know, but then someone else is kind of hey, this is what's going on, that's what a leak is. So we're not even using the right terminology at this point, quite frankly. But I also don't think that like again, like the Minnesota Vikings are now trying to be like, hey, we other people are interested, and other people are interested in JJ McCarthy, and we said that we want everyone to know that to try to boost JJ McCarthy's confidence up. I'm sorry, that's just a bunch of nonsense. It is. Listen, these guys need confidence boosting, especially at the young age that they are. JJ literally just turned 22. But it's not like that's just not how Kevin O'Connell and this Minnesota Vikings team is going to instill confidence in JJ McCarthy to be like, look, other teams were asking to trade for you. Like, that's how much they want you. Like, and that the fact that they need to say that like publicly, like it's just a weird approach. And if they really wanted to do about it, it wouldn't just be through the media. The GM owner, they would say, look, JJ, and like if they really felt they needed to boost up his confidence, they say, JJ, look, come over here. Come here, son. And they bring him over and around the computer and they say, look at these emails. Look at these. Look at these 5 emails that we got from this team and this team and this team and this team. They were all asking about you, son. They're all asking about you. They wouldn't need to do it through reporting. Like it just doesn't make sense. So like I don't understand why this storyline has led to so many people just blatantly make stuff up or just wildly speculate. Maybe it's just the off season. And it's a little bit less like that during the regular season when you have like a little bit more concrete stuff to go off of. But this was a kind of a front row seat in just conspiracy theories, everybody making stuff up. And I for the life of me, I don't recall ever really seeing something like this unfold in this way. But in truth, this is a story that I followed more closely than, I don't know, other general free agency stuff over the years. But I think, again, the better question, and it's unfortunate now, even I wasted more time than I would have wanted to, because they barely even really answered this question in a more in-depth way in terms of, is this the right move for Minnesota? I think ultimately, if you said, we have the ability to win a Super Bowl this season, 2025, let's go. We have a true peak chance at winning a Super Bowl. And this window, in terms of our maximum peak, in terms of, if you have a window to win a Super Bowl over the next 5 years, if year 1 and 2 are your highest chances, right? Year 1 and year 2, you have 100%. You have on a scale of 0 to 100, you hit 100 in terms of your highest chance. And then the next few years after kind of drop down to like 98, 95, 90 or whatever. Then you could make the argument, bring in the seasoned veteran right now. We don't got time for a rookie. We don't got time to have to go through the growing pains. We don't have time to teach someone how to play NFL football. So you can make the argument like that would be that. But if their consensus is kind of like, no, listen, over these next 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it may be, we got 95 across the board in terms of our chances that we believe that we can truly compete for a Super Bowl. Well, then, yeah, then it's like, let's start the JJ McCarthy train and let's get him comfortable sooner rather than later. And everyone understanding what we got here. Because, of course, now if he plays this season and you see some of his weaknesses, some of his strengths, because especially as JJ evolves, like to kind of stick with that example of like, if this year they have, and when I say 95, I don't mean like 95% chance. I'm just kind of using like a, like a general grading scale. If they have a 95, ranked 95 to kind of win the Super Bowl, as JJ increases and improves and gets better and better, well, then that number obviously is going to go higher and higher. So you could make the argument that also by playing JJ right now, the potency of their Super Bowl window would only improve as he improves, as he gets better. And so you would want to start that journey sooner rather than later, more so than just trying to get him on a cheap deal necessarily, because he needs to be developed. He needs to evolve and grow, just like Bo Nix, just like Jaden Daniels, right? Like just like the two most immediate recent rookie quarterbacks. Like they continued over the weeks, over the months to get better and better and better. So we know that JJ is going to need that. He's going to need the room. The biggest argument that you had for bringing in Aaron Rodgers is if you were kind of just like, listen, this team is ready to win right now. We won 14 games last season. Like we are ready to pop. Let's go. And JJ is going to be more of a work in progress. He is young. He's younger than those two quarterbacks that I even just mentioned. He has a lot less time under his belt, and he just now had a whole year of being injured and not playing football. We're slightly concerned about that. Let's bring in a veteran. I think they probably would have brought in an Aaron Rodgers if it was before the Jets. If all of this unfolded exactly how it did, but it was Aaron Rodgers about to leave Green Bay before he ever went to the New York Jets, I could see them saying, okay, let's go run this with Aaron. Like, we have a real chance here. But I think considering, everything that unfolded with Aaron in terms of his performance as well as his personality, of course, and just any of that other stuff, I think, at this point, the Minnesota Vikings have they have a culture, but they're also trying to really reinforce this culture. They're really trying to really begin and start this Kevin O'Connell era. I know he's been here now for a few seasons or so, but like, it's time for him to kind of really root himself and really be synonymous with the Minnesota Vikings. When you look at the Rams now, it's hard to imagine who was even the coach before Sean McVay. That is Sean McVay and the Rams. It's more his team than it is Matthew Stafford, because he's going to be there, most likely as long as he wants to keep coaching. He might want to retire, but long after, Stafford. Andy Reid was there before Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to even remember, like, who was even the coach for the Kansas City Chiefs? I don't know. Doesn't matter. And if Patrick Mahomes was a lot older, or if Andy Reid was just a little bit younger, Andy Reid would be there, even longer beyond Patrick Mahomes. And so you don't necessarily have that with Kevin O'Connell, because one, he just has a lower levels of success than those guys. He's been coaching for a shorter period of time, and now he's had he hasn't really been tied together with a quarterback to really start to do damage. He had Kirk Cousins for a little bit. He had Sam Darnold for a year. Now it's like, he had some backup quarterbacks. Like, it's time for him to now really be like, this is what we're building, and we're truly building something for the long term. And when we really kind of set that foundation, we can have a different quarterback. We can move and shit. Like, you're not trying to create something, because he kept trying to create something with in a temporary situation, right? It's like if you move to a place and you have a 6-month lease and you're about to move to a new house or a new long-term apartment. It's hard to really create a home in that short window of time. When I lived in California for years, I had it in the back of my mind that I wasn't going to live there for the rest of my life. I always knew that I was going to end up moving out, and so I could never really plant my roots and really create a home. Everything just felt constantly temporary, because it was always kind of like, well, I know I'm going to leave. I know I'm going to leave. I know I'm going to leave. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of what the Minnesota Vikings have been experiencing with Kevin O'Connell and the offense and the quarterback position, specifically. And so now when we get JJ here, you can start to kind of really solidify that and make the Minnesota Vikings exactly what you want with any other extracurriculars, any extra baggage, any other, big personality, established presence. Even someone like a Kirk Cousins, for that matter, still brings some of that, not necessarily like a big personality, but still brings a lot of what he's already had in the NFL. JJ McCarthy is just 100% from scratch. He gets to essentially be the quarterback in Kevin O'Connell's, in his image, in his, the way how he views the NFL world. So I think starting that, can definitely make a lot of sense. The one thing, though, that I think, should be emphasized for the Minnesota Vikings is that, you're going to have growing pains. JJ McCarthy is going to struggle. He's going to have bad games. He's going to have bad drives. He's going to cost his team a loss, like it's just a win, like it's just all but guaranteed to happen. And so that is the one thing that when you're coming off such a hot season, winning 14 games, feeling like, hey, this is the year, let's go. Don't expect JJ McCarthy to be this flawless savior, or this flawless piece that's going to get them over the hump in year one. It's just going to take more than that, because that's just, quite frankly, the way how it's always been in the NFL. But those are just my thoughts I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings? Do you think it's the right move for Minnesota to move forward? JJ, let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.